Today we're talking about, will Gen Z see retirement? Some of Gen Z, most of Gen Z, might be wondering, why even bother saving for retirement? Will the world even be around? Will retirement still exist? Well, we're going to talk about it.
Isn't the short answer you'd really be screwed if it did all continue and you didn't save any money?
Yeah, so I guess it's a little bit.
It's like Pascal's dilemma.
Actually, I guess so. I guess we're actually going to be kind of getting into one of those answers. So now then, why some Gen Zers feel hopeless about retirement? Okay, there's probably a lot of reasons, but we're going to focus on 3 of them. Katherine.
Well, there's common fears, which all fall under the headline of the world's going to hell. Global instability, climate anxiety,
yes,
political uncertainty, all reflected in the stock market.
Right now, yes, yeah, we are recording this we're still in April, April 2025. So the other thing, okay, so the common fear is much more of a current thing. When we were the early 20s, early 30s, I don't think we had that kind of fear. But the next one, I think, is probably common for...
Can I say, though, I think a lot of people in their 20s feel kind of a sense of, is this all going to work?
Generally, but... Yeah, okay.
Our 20s weren't... No, I'm not doing this to take away from the fear. 20s are actually pretty...
I mean, I think for us this age, this was before the fall of the Cold War, the end of the Cold War. So we had other fears, I guess. So maybe because they were different fears and they've gone away. But anyways, the other thing that is a constant, I think, for every age group is it feels too far away. Retirement doesn't feel real. Why worry about what I'm going to do when I'm 70? When I'm trying to
make it today.
I'm trying to get through to Friday. Exactly. Okay. And then part of the first fear is, I think, tied up in the third one here. Rising cost of living makes saving feel impossible. We understand that. We're not trying to completely minimize that or ignore it.
It's a real thing.
It's a very real thing.
It's a real thing.
Absolutely.
So, but here's the case for it. So, why retirement is still possible and necessary. So, Christopher, the first one is huge. The power of starting young, compound interest in simple terms. So,
when it's most difficult for most people to start is, unfortunately, the most important time to start. Hopefully we can do a link to our video about how much you need to save in order to have a certain amount at retirement. And basically every 10 years you wait, it doubles.
But the basic point is, you think you're not going to save because you can't save enough, but even saving a little is so much better than not saving anything. So there's like a basic muscle to be exercised.
$30-$40 a month doesn't sound like much, but starting that when you get your first job, when you're in your first 401k plan at maybe 21 or 22, $40 or $50 a month gives you a basis to add all on way down the road. Now then, also there is a changing definition of retirement. A lot of people, when they were retired, they completely stopped working. They stopped doing anything. Okay, there's people move to certain states, people move to different countries. Do people actually still take up shuffleboard? We're actually gonna have to. Is shuffleboard still a thing? Or is that just a trope from my parents' generation? Okay, but retirement does not mean to stop work forever.
It's reframing what retirement is.
Correct.
Right? So it's giving yourself options to...
And this is discussed ad infinitum, ad nauseum in all of our FIRE videos. Financial independence, retire early, okay? Because not one of those people retired. Not one. Most of them went from one job to 3 side hustles. Okay, so it's just how do you want to live your life when you're older? Maybe think about it. Okay, what's your 4th career going to be when you're 68? Okay, but maybe not just retirement. Now then, also, what's the final helpful bullet point?
Well, building financial independence gives you more options, not less. So if you reframe this instead of like I'm just saving for the rocking chair, you're actually saving for more options and having more independence when you're older.
Okay, so I do understand, you wanting the game or whatever for $60. Now when you're younger, maybe do a balance between the current, if you're able to do anything with discretionary income, all right, split the difference between what you've been spending on current fun stuff and maybe saving half of that for later on okay?
So Gen Z,
I didn't do, and I wish I did.
So Gen Z, what can you do now? So the first thing is start small.
Right. You're so much better off starting at 2 or 3% a paycheck than nothing and thinking you'll get caught up later, because you don't. All right.
And what I want to say is some people love percentages, and people of your ilk who like to think in percentages feel very comfortable with that. But saying $25 a month is achievable for most people.
Right. If you have a choice between 2 jobs or more, all right.
Job. Are they equal?
Part of equal job offerings is what is the retirement offering. Okay. If company number 1 has a really cool foosball table, but you're in Illinois Secured Choice, yeah, maybe not. Okay, company 2 gives you a Grubhub certificate once a month, but has you in a simple IRA. Company number 3.
Are you making an equivalency between Grubhub and Simple?
I'm making stuff up.
Oh, I was
thinking on the fly. Company number 3 doesn't have any of that, but has a 401k plan with a safe harbor match. Okay.
That's more money on the table.
That's more money. Filippo's going to take door number 3 because he's learned. All right. So you need to have a look at not just what the current benefits are, but which employer is giving you a better retirement option. All right. And then obviously make sure you don't leave money on the table. If you do get an employer with a match, make sure you're contributing enough to get the maximum match, at least.
And part of this is This happens at a lot of employers that they do have matches. Like my favorite example is the grocery store I shop at. This little grocery store advertises their 401k plan and their match. So if local grocery store in Palatine, Illinois can give a match, I think you should go look for an employer who has a plan that gives a match.
Exactly. Okay.
So what's the big idea?
Well, the big idea is think of saving for retirement as part of future-proofing your life. Okay.
So if there's a lot of variables in your life you're scared about, having financial independence or freedom is
one of it. If you're eating healthy because you want to future-proof your life, if you're exercising because you want to future-proof your life, okay, this is part of it. Again, $25 a month can really make a difference down the road later on. Now then, finally, retirement isn't dead. It is a finite date in the future. You can figure it out yourself. But the idea is to start saving now. All right. Now then, if you are in between jobs and you have a 401k account balance at your old job, make sure you roll it over to your next job or roll it over into an IRA. If you have less than $7,000 in your plan and you're not employed, get the money rolled out so that you know where it is, because your employer has a legal right to roll that over to an IRA. Okay? They're going to let you know about it beforehand, but proactively go and do it. Okay? And then you like to be the future thinker. Number 3, dear.
Well, what do you think retirement will look like in 50 years, and why should Gen Z be saving? And I think a lot of it is just reframing that maybe we are all doing side hustles, but we have some financial health behind us.
Right. I mean, maybe doing something a little bit more that you want to do. We'll just all. I mean, we don't know. But the more you do now, the more options you have later on. All right.
And I think also retirement was imagined first when people's bodies were broken by a certain age, right? You were in your 60s and you were broken, meaning you worked in a factory and you stood for 40 years straight. You're broken. You know, you
That was my dad.
you're bent over a car engine for 40 years. You're broken. So a lot of this, there are still definitely jobs that take a physical toll on you, and that's why we still need retirement, like Social Security and stuff like that, right? We still need. We need all of that. But the original ideas of retirement were for you were going to break in your 60s, and you better have something.
Which I guess now which is why we have our side hustles now. Anyways, all right. If you want more 401k plan tips, please watch our next video here. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. We keep hearing from people when we go to industry functions. I watch all your videos. Please comment on them, all right?
And I would say we would love to hear Gen Z, any other questions that you have, because these are certainly the questions we think you do have.
Absolutely.
We would love to actually talk about the questions you really have.
Absolutely. And then, if you want to ask something offline, it's sales@hunterbenefits.com. We do get emails from y'all there that we answer privately offline. So take care, and don't forget to keep those cards and letters coming.
Toodaloo.